Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Our focus this week is the city of Joplin, more specifically the Joplin City Manager, Nick Edwards. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks, Judy. Excited for our conversation.
Well, I know you've been here a few months in Joplin, and usually I like to introduce people when they come to town, so this is our chance to really introduce you. Your feelings returning to Joplin to work, even though it's been a few months now already?
Sure, it's a great opportunity to be home. Joplin was my hometown, and so having the chance to serve the community in a professional way it's really exciting. It doesn't happen for a lot of city managers, but I'm really fortunate and excited to be home.
A lot of people might be curious of how does someone get to be a city manager. So let's talk about your path as far as, the education track. And we're at Missouri Southern. You were a Missouri Southern student.
Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to Missouri Southern. I benefited from a great education here, and I was surrounded by a lot of great professors that kind of helped spark my interest and passion for local government. So I was enrolled in 2003 and graduated around 2007 with a bachelor's degree in political science, and from there went on to get my master's in public administration, and then started my career in local government.
Political science can lead people a lot of different directions. What sparked your interest in saying, I'm really interested in when I work in local government?
I have to credit one of my professors here at Missouri Southern. Dr. Simpson, he was a former city manager and kind of taught some of the political science classes from a local government perspective. And so it was really interesting to see and hear some of the issues and topics presented in that way. And so it really kind of sparked an interest and a passion for local government.
So your career path then, once you got into continuing your first jobs working with government, tell us a little bit about that.
I was able to do an internship for the Springfield Greene County Park Board. That's a great organization that has there's a wide variety of operational things to look at there. But then landed my first professional job at the City of Lee Summit. Started as a management analyst in the Public Works Department, and then held a variety of different roles and responsibilities for that city before coming to Joplin.
So coming to Joplin, obviously the job opening came up. Beyond being hometown, what sparked your interest in Joplin? What was attractive in this?
Well, for me, what makes Joplin special are the people. I feel like the residents here are more genuine. The relationships are stronger. I think it's a community that is tight-knit, and so that's exciting to be a part of something like that. And maybe in some larger cities you maybe lose some of that community feel because of all the different things and distractions. But here in Joplin, I just feel like it's a hometown environment.
Of course, Joplin serves the region. The Joplin region has probably changed tremendously since the time you were here, even as a student.
Definitely, I was gone from the area for about 10 years, but in coming back, it's been exciting to see some incredible growth. I am amazed by all the new businesses here in town. Obviously, the tornado impacted Joplin, and so it's been interesting to see how the community's rebounded and responded in that way too.
Well, let's turn to the role of city manager. Your interest in city government. Someone from the community comes up to you and says, how do you describe your job as city manager? How do you define that for someone?
I struggle with that every time I'm asked, but really, as city manager, I think my primary responsibility is to serve our mayor and council. Those are the elected leaders that the community has that have been voted into office, that are carrying the desires of the community. And so I really see my job as one that helps make them successful. Obviously, as city manager, I have a role to manage some of the operations of the city and make sure that those are and ran in the most efficient way possible. So it's a dynamic environment, and it's exciting, but what I love about the career is I really see it as a service-oriented career.
Right.
And for me, I wake up every day thinking about what are the things that I can do to help Joplin be better.
A lot of people see the city, they see the elected officials, but behind the scenes, your employees, there's a lot of people who make that city work as far as the operations.
Sure, I've got a phenomenal management team. Management teams are department directors. I'm surrounded by some amazing coworkers, and I'd love to get them a shout out here, but the list is long. But anyway, the thing that I think is lost between the public and the city is that the workers, the employees of the city, have a genuine care and concern and are passionate about making Joplin better. And sometimes that's not always displayed in some of the actions that we take when we have to enforce codes or we have to make vehicle stops or something like that. But those are actions that are being done to make Joplin a better place. And I know my coworkers bring that attitude every day.
So the service that you feel it carries over to your staff and your employees as well. They're serving the community by working here. Absolutely.
We just celebrated a retirement for one of our firefighters, Captain Crawford. He'd spent over 40 years with the city of Joplin, dedicated his life for the service, for public safety. And, to have folks like that in the organization, it's just phenomenal. It makes me think that the future is bright.
Well, we talk about local government, and local government's one of those aspects that really touches the lives of people. You mentioned everything from your sewer working properly to the police service and so forth. So do you feel that that impact in the city, people are feeding back to you that type of information? The Joplin, what you're doing affects me.
I hope so. I think a lot of attention is given to the national politics or the state politics, but really the local politic is probably the one that has the most impact on the day-to-day lives of citizens. And so I think my coworkers were aware of that, and we're mindful of that, and we try to do the best job for the citizens that we can.
Great. Well, we're going to transition because right after you came to town, we got hit with the COVID pandemic and what was happening. So you kind of hit the ground running in a crisis management type role.
Sure. I've been approached, and there's been folks that say, "Oh, Nick, I'm sorry you're having to start during this time," and I really I assume that that's a good thing. But I would say, don't feel sorry for me in this role. I'm surrounded by a lot of great people that have been through worse, and so I actually think it's the opposite. I think out of all the city managers in the country, I'm the most fortunate because I'm with some amazing coworkers. I'm with a group that's been tested before and that's responded and have had faced adversity and know how to overcome it. It's certainly a challenge. In school, they tell you how to make communities great, how to build and grow. They don't tell you how to shut communities down and do things like that. So it's certainly been a challenge, but I'm proud of the effort that we get from my coworkers.
Of course, there's a lot of different pieces of the pie when we're talking about dealing with the challenges and the pandemic. You have national, as you mentioned, statewide and local. So I imagine your communication goes beyond the city limits. You have a lot of ties together with everybody.
Very much so. I like to see those as partners. The city isn't able to make the community a great place all on its own. We need help from our school district. We need help from the Chamber of Commerce and from state and county partnerships, and so we really band together to make Joplin a better place.
Great. Well, looking at the way the city's had to deal with the pandemic, I know obviously masks are a topic, and we have some masks with us, but the city has been distributing those. So explain that process of how we're getting those to citizens or people who need them in our community.
Again, take the opportunity to kind of brag on my coworkers. They've come up with a great plan to distribute the masks. So those masks are available at Memorial Hall. I think there's 3 days or maybe only 2 days remaining, tomorrow and Friday, whether there's a morning option, a noon option, and then an evening option. And so we're encouraging folks to come get your mask. We want to try to do everything that we can to make the community a little safer during this time.
And of course, City Council, the governing board that makes the decision on the rules, and we have the mask ordinance that City Council has worked with staff and the community and looking at as well. Definitely.
I feel not bad, but I know our council is kind of thrust into a hard spot and make a hard decision. Listening to some of the debate and some of the comments from the public, a very compelling dialogue, and it was a very tough decision. I think at the end of the day, the city is in the public safety business. We do things, we provide service in the name of safety, and so for us, the masks are seen as a way to help enhance and protect public safety. And so I think that's why the decision was made, in the spirit of trying to protect one another.
And of course, we're recording this program as they're being distributed to the public at Memorial Hall, but when the show airs, they'll probably have more plans to get more masks out there. You know, people just need to stay tuned, really, to find out what's happening with the city.
Absolutely. I anticipate that we'll have some extra masks, and so you know, if there's an opportunity, if maybe a business or not-for-profit wants to connect and help share and distribute those masks, we'd be happy to do that.
Right. Well, we heard about in one of the recent meetings about how the federal government is coming up with some money to help communities financially. People might be curious, well, what has been the financial impact of all this for the city of Joplin?
Sure. It's the truth be told, the financial impact, we're not able to quantify that just yet. We're still early into, I think, this crisis. Initially, we had seen some very positive numbers on our sales tax. That might be a false floor because of all the money that's been injected into the local communities, either through the stimulus or through enhanced unemployment. So I don't think we have a clear picture about the harm that's been done, and won't have a clear picture until later on in the year when after those extra funds are spent.
Well, I know one of the big challenges in managing the city is managing the budget. So
Sure.
I imagine, is that an ongoing basis as far as, you know, you get those sales tax reports on a regular basis? You know, how are we doing? Can we still afford these projects we said we were going to do?
Absolutely. You know, the budget is an important document for the city. It's a operations guide. It tells how the money is being spent and what operations and what services are being provided. It's a financial plan, just the same way individuals plan for their future. Cities have to do that as well with their financial. It's a communication device. What are the key issues? And it's also kind of a policy document. So it's an important document for us. We put a lot of work into it, and it really helps us use resources in the best and most efficient way.
We're recording this program in the summer, and your fiscal year will be coming up in the fall. So what's the process preparing for next year's fiscal budget? You're currently in one, but what steps do you see coming through, looking ahead to 2021?
As the new guy, I'm getting to learn the City of Joplin's budget process. I'm really thankful for Leslie Haas. She's an incredible leader for us, and so she's helping help me through the first budget process. But we've been meeting with departments about their needs and some of their key initiatives for the upcoming year, and so we're combining all that information to get a total to present to our council at the beginning of the fiscal year in November. So coming up soon, we'll have a series of budget meetings and be talking about how the resources will be spent for the next year.
We mentioned about meeting needs, and you have to have some communication with not only your departments but the citizens. So tell me a little bit about how you're trying to get some information from the citizens. I have some of your cards here that tie into that.
Thanks, Judy. I'm really excited about a listening tour. It's kind of got a funny name, but I'm really interested in hearing from the community about things they would like to see improved, and maybe some of the challenges that are present. I think there's two groups of folks in the community: those that have been to maybe a nicer place and want some, that high quality life, or retail or parks, and there's another group that is maybe kind of seeing some decline and maybe a drop in service. And so I want to know what those thoughts are. I want to lean into those conversations so that we can have a conversation about the future. I'm hoping to get some great responses from the listening tour here and take that to our mayor and council and ask them the question: what do you see as the themes and priorities for the city to work on in an intentional way, so that we can have a clear path forward for the future of Joplin. And so I'm really excited for it. I'm going to hold up this card. The card is available at City Hall or at the library, but you can fill this out. But I'll give you the pro tip. The pro tip is you can write me a whole book by filling out the survey online. And so there's a web address at the bottom of this. If you don't mind, it's surveymonkey.com/r/Joplin Dream. And so I'm looking for 5,000 responses. I've got 1,000 so far. And I just would encourage residents to participate. this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to connect with your local government and share your thoughts. We want to engage. We want a community that works so that all people can thrive. And this is the opportunity to share your feedback.
And these are open-ended questions as people look at them. You know, what makes Joplin special? What is something Joplin doesn't do well? So it's not check one of the above or something. They're encouraging that narrative, basically.
I'd like to hear thoughts. You know, what are those thoughts? What are the themes? You know, I might not see the issues that you see. I want to see those issues. I would think I get the sense from our mayor and council and coworkers that, you know, let's take that next step forward. I know there's an organization that wants to do better.
And so some of the other questions, what change would you like to see over the next 5, 10, 15 years? So you're asking people to kind of dream. Tell me what you want Joplin to look like.
Well, I think so much of the city's work and recently has been in response to the tornado, in response to some big issues. But I really want to get that forward look into the future about where should we position ourselves? What do we need to do to make sure the kids in our schools are loving the community that they're in and are choosing to stay home? How should we position the community, and what are the things that we need to do? So, Judy, I'd ask you that question. What
makes people, you know, wanting to stay in Joplin? You mentioned the people being a strong point, but how do you define that? You know, friendly people, or you know, your neighbors helping neighbors, and things like that.
Yeah.
And so looking at the positive aspects, and then you also have, what are some of the opportunities, or you say the biggest threats facing the community? So positive as well as negative. You're looking for both sides of the issue.
Sure. I have thoughts, but I want to make sure I'm including everybody. I think one huge challenge for the city is this question of resources. I've mentioned there's the city, the local government. We want to provide better service. We want to do some good things in the community, but we're going to need resources to help us take that next step.
Right.
And I'm trying to fight for that for my coworkers, and excited to see what we can get done.
So they might have a dream that we want X facility in town, that but you have to have the money to build those type of facilities and tie that together. So you see a lot of opportunities maybe then for partnerships, like you mentioned, with the city and other levels of the community and getting things done?
Absolutely. I'm blown away by the leadership that we have at our school district, at our chamber. I'm president of the Lori Hahn fan club with the Downtown Joplin Alliance, and certainly am just thankful for Dr. Van Galen and his leadership, and excited to see where Southern's headed. So I feel like there's a great group of stakeholders in the community, and I really don't see that there would be anything in our way that could prevent us from going where we need to go.
Great. So communication being a key aspect, and I know that communication through surveys like this, you get a lot of emails. I know social media sometimes can be a thorn in the side, but you also get feedback on social media as well. Yeah,
communication is key, right? It helps relationships. It helps us navigate things together, and so I see this listening tour as a communication opportunity, and certainly I'm thankful for the city staff, Lynn Onstad, and her work to put out the messages that what the city's working on, and so try to make the city available for whatever conversations are necessary, so that we can work our way forward together.
And what is your timetable, or what would you like to have as a goal for getting feedback on this? You say you have 1,000, you'd like to have 5,000. So what type of time frame might you be considering?
I've got a big goal of 5,000 responses. The survey has been open for a couple of weeks now, and it'll close sometime in late September or early October, so that I can prepare the report to the council.
So there's still plenty of time, people who are watching and say, well, how can I get that? And just basically go to your website, which I'd like to introduce your website. I know the City of Joplin, you have a website with a lot of information about the city. So we can take a look at the website. That's one way that they can lead to finding this. And I actually called up the Facebook page here, which gives you information. So social media playing a role in communication that way.
Absolutely. social media is sometimes a tricky tool for local government. It's a great way of putting some information out, but it's also maybe not the best forum for public dialogue.
Right.
And so there's maybe posts or something that aren't necessarily relevant to the thread. So it's sometimes difficult to kind of weave through that, but we want to promote and we want to encourage collaboration, we want to encourage engagement, and so we are going to use those tools to keep putting communication out.
Okay. And with the ongoing situation with the COVID-19, you also have links on your website as far as, I know you have the mask ordinance, you have the details, those types of things are there where people can find that information.
Our website, joplinmo.org, can help you connect to local government, to your city, and the different services that we provide. I'm really proud of the work that's been done by our health department on the coronavirus tab. There you can find information on case counts and a variety of different metrics that we're tracking related to the pandemic.
And in seeing the website, the how do I do it aspect, citizens, they see the pothole down their street or a light that doesn't work, street light, they can utilize the website or ways to communicate with you that way to try to get that word to the city.
Absolutely, and I would encourage residents to tell us, to notify us if there's things that they're seeing that we might not be seeing, because really our addressing those issues like potholes, addressing some of maybe the code's concerns, that helps us put our best face forward when we're promoting the community, and maybe that is something that helps attract investment into the community.
We'll talk about investment and economic development. That's a key partnership that the city has with the region, really, that you are working together with others to help grow the community.
Yeah, I'm excited by investment. I'm excited by development. That is, in this day and age where cities are contracting, when there's job loss, to have investment opportunities is just a great thing. And I think it helps Joplin be more marketable, be more attractive to people that are looking for a new home. I think the city has to win the amenity war. We have to be a community of choice, and to do that, we have to have some development and some attractive things that keep people here and attract people here.
And of course, you come from a larger community closer to Kansas City. The competition, I imagine, is really fierce. The people don't realize behind the scenes that, Joplin says we want to grow, but the city down the street also wants to grow. So there's businesses are looking at a lot of different things. Absolutely.
It's incredible. The private business, they have so many choices, and virtually, every community is trying to roll out the red carpet to get that investment and so we really have to be on the top of our game with the way Joplin's presented, the way we maintain our community, the way we lead with public safety. We've got to deliver a high level of service, because ultimately that's what gives comfort and helps those decisions of investment get made.
When those companies are coming to town, they might have their little checklist and say,
That's
okay,
right.
We'll rate them for this and that, and
That's right.
find that together. Well, when you look at Joplin as a community versus a big metropolitan area, does that give it advantages over those other regions as far as attracting those types of growth and expansion?
I think each community can probably present its own strengths. For Joplin, being that regional hub, I think we're kind of at the center of commerce. I'm thankful for some of the amenities that are here and the work that we're doing to grow those. I'm really impressed with the downtown revitalization. Excuse me.
And so there's a lot of areas of town. And you feel Joplin still has room to grow then, as far as we haven't been boxed in?
Absolutely. I think we can choose the future for ourselves. And I encourage you to encourage the listeners to provide their feedback on the listening tour and choose the future for ourselves, and then put in place the plans that we need to go make that future possible.
You've talked about things that bring people to town. Quality of living is one of those things that we hear a lot about. How do you define that when somebody's saying, well, how's the quality of living in Joplin?
Sure. When I think of quality of life, I think the residents' quality of life is impacted by the services that certainly the city provides. I think that leads with public safety. I think for us to have a quality community, we have to have a safe community. I think that's paramount. We have to win the amenity war. We need quality parks. We need quality infrastructure. You should be able to turn your lights on, and you should be able to flush your toilet. We need that. We need those reliable municipal services. And I think one of the most important partners in the community is our school district. And I'm just so excited to see the changes that have occurred, and I'm so thankful for the citizen support of the bond issue. And I'm just excited to see where they're going, and I hope the city organization can keep up.
And the city working with the schools as they grow and develop their facilities.
Absolutely.
And of course the city has projects that are in the books or on the books for the future that people may not realize. You have parks programs, you have stormwaters, there's things that are already being planned and undergoing.
Absolutely.
Process.
I would encourage your listeners to pay close attention to the city's Facebook page. There's going to be an opportunity for you to provide even more input on specific issues related to Memorial Hall, what Memorial Hall looks like in the future, and our Ewert Park. And so those are, again, opportunities for citizens to communicate with their local government their interests. And so I would encourage people to be on the lookout for those kinds of
communicating through Facebook. I imagine you still get the old-fashioned phone calls where people will call City Hall.
Yes. I lean towards meetings. I like meetings because it's an opportunity to connect in more of a real way. But that's just me. But
you welcome that input. If someone who's watching said, "I'd like to ask you a question," they can meet with you and find out what's happening along those lines. Great. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for coming to the program, for the interview today, and sharing your vision and some thoughts about the city of Joplin.
Thanks, Judy.
And welcome once again.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you for joining me this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time. We'll see you then.